The galactic war had burned for so long that most worlds forgot how it began. Old empires fell, new ones rose, and machines fought beside their creators. On the capital world of the Valerie Empire, deep inside the royal hangar, one ancient armor lay silent. It was said to be the most powerful battlesuit ever made, built from lost technology of the architects, a vanished civilization whose machines still outsmarted living minds. The armor had belonged to Commander Saraxa Vin, the most respected warrior in Valerie history. She had fought hundreds of battles in it. But one day it suddenly failed. When engineers tried to fix it, the systems rejected every touch. Some were injured by energy shocks, others driven away by strange noises from inside the core. Soon no one dared to go near it. The Emperor ordered the best scientists from every world to study it. Nothing worked. Then someone spoke quietly about a human engineer named Daniel Reese. He was not from their empire. He was one of the last Terrans, a survivor from a lost human colony. He was not powerful, not rich, and not proud, but he was known to be careful, patient, and strangely good with machines that others could not understand. Some said he spoke to machines the way others spoke to friends. When Saraxa entered the hangar that morning, every worker stopped. Her silver armor plates, though cracked and powerless, still glowed faintly as she walked. Her tall frame, her calm eyes, and her voice held both authority and respect. She looked at the old armor on the table, broken open like a dead body. She asked the engineers if there was any hope. One of them shook his head and said, "Only the human engineer could fix this armor." The words were half a joke, half desperation. Saraxa turned slowly. At the back of the hangar stood Daniel Reese, wearing a simple gray uniform and holding a small toolkit. He had been silent all day, watching others fail again and again. Now every eye turned toward him. Daniel hesitated, feeling the weight of their gaze. He stepped forward quietly and looked at the armor. It was massive, taller than him by several feet. Its metal surface dark like storm clouds, covered in glowing cracks that pulsed like veins. He could feel a faint vibration coming from it, like a heartbeat trying to return. He touched the edge carefully and static crawled up his arm, but he didn't pull away. Saraxa watched him closely. "You understand its heart?" she asked. Daniel nodded slowly. "I think it's not just a machine," he said. "It's something alive. It remembers." The other engineers exchanged confused looks. Machines did not remember. But Daniel spoke with quiet confidence. He opened the chest plate of the armor and began scanning the inside. His small tools moved carefully across glowing filaments, reading invisible data streams. Where others saw only chaos, Daniel saw patterns. The armor's energy nodes were reacting to something emotional, a signature built on trust and recognition. Alien engineers had tried to use pure logic, but the armor rejected them. Daniel realized it needed something else: empathy. As he worked, the air inside the hangar changed. The usual humming of machines faded, replaced by a soft tone from the armor itself, like it was trying to speak. Everyone stepped back in silence. Daniel's eyes narrowed as he touched a small crystal near the center. He whispered, "It's grieving." Saraxa frowned. "Grieving for what?" "For her," Daniel said. "For you. It thinks you're gone." It was a strange idea, but the longer he worked, the clearer it became. The armor had linked itself with Saraxa's life force. When she was injured in her last battle, the link was broken, and the armor had gone into mourning, closing itself to the world. Daniel began feeding it gentle energy waves, matching the rhythm of a heartbeat. When he placed his hand on the main control node, the cracks on the armor glowed brighter. One soft pulse ran through it like a breath returning. Gasps filled the hangar. No one had seen it respond in years. Saraxa stepped closer, her voice lower now. "It responded to you." "No," Daniel said, looking at her. "It responded to us. It knows we both care." She said nothing for a long moment. Then she nodded once and stood beside him, her tall shadow covering the armor and the human together. For hours they worked side by side. Daniel guided her through ancient commands while she used her energy field to power the interface. They had to synchronize their breathing, timing, and touch. The armor began to respond faster, almost eager. Its inner systems flickered back to life one by one. Power nodes, sensory arrays in the old core glowing blue again. But near the end, when Daniel tried to open the final sequence, a warning appeared on his screen: genetic signature incompatible. The system rejected him. He sighed, stepping back. "It needs your blood code," he said. "But I can't link it alone. It might kill you if it tries to restart without balance." Saraxa looked at him quietly, then extended her hand. "Then let it read us both." Daniel hesitated. "It could be dangerous." Everything worth doing is, she replied simply. She placed her palm against his. The armor recognized her first, then him. A wave of energy passed through both of them, bright, heavy, almost alive. Daniel felt it in his bones like electricity and warmth together. The room darkened as energy streams surrounded them, flowing in spirals. Every screen flickered. The armor lifted itself from the table, hovering upright. The engineers stepped back in awe as light filled the hangar. Daniel heard whispers inside his head. Not words, but feelings. The armor remembered pain, loss, battle, and loyalty. And under it all, something new and curiosity. The human mind had touched it differently than any alien before. Then everything exploded into white light. When Daniel opened his eyes, he found himself lying on the floor. His ears rang and smoke drifted across the room. Standing in the center of it was Commander Siraxa, her armor fully restored, shining like silver fire. The cracks were gone. Energy lines pulsed softly along her limbs. She moved her hands slowly, as if feeling the world for the first time. The armor's eyes glowed faint blue. It looked alive again. Daniel stood, staring in disbelief. The engineers cheered, unable to believe what they saw. Siraxa turned her head toward him. Her expression was unreadable, half gratitude, half wonder. "It knows you," she said quietly. "It remembers your touch." Daniel looked at the armor, then back at her. "Then it's not just repaired," he said softly. "It's awake." Before anyone could speak further, a deep rumble shook the floor. Alarms blared from the upper decks. Red lights flashed. Siraxa turned toward the window, her sensors already reacting. Through the thick glass, they saw flashes in the upper atmosphere. Huge ships emerging from hyperspace, dark and ancient. The armor's sensors recognized the signal first. On the main screen, glowing runes appeared, the emblem of the architects, the same beings who had built the armor thousands of years ago. The hangar fell silent. Daniel's heart pounded. The armor emitted a soft hum as if remembering old masters long forgotten. Siraxa's voice was calm but sharp. "They've awakened," she said. "And they're coming." Outside, the sky burned red as the first of the ships appeared. Daniel looked at her, unsure if the armor had called them or warned them. But deep inside, he knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning of something far greater. Something that would test both human and Valerie in ways neither had faced before. Siraxa looked down at him one last time, her armor glowing brighter with each heartbeat. "You brought it back to life, Daniel Reese," she said softly. "Now let's see if you can help me keep it that way." And as the hangar doors sealed and the world outside trembled, Daniel realized the truth. He was no longer just an engineer. He had awakened something ancient, something that remembered him, and it would soon change the fate of the entire gala. The sky above Valerie Prime had turned a deep, angry red. Ancient warships emerged from hyperspace, their hulls black and vast, stretching farther than any of the Valerie had ever seen. They bore no markings the Empire recognized, only the symbol of the architects, the lost civilization that had created the galaxy's most powerful machines. Everyone in the city felt the tension, the unease that came from seeing something thought extinct return. Panic swept through the streets as alarms blared. Military leaders called for immediate defense, but their scanners could not track the ships properly. The architects' vessels moved differently, their energy fields bending light and time in ways humans and Valerie could not predict. In the royal hangar, Daniel Reese and Commander Siraxa Vin stood before the armor. It pulsed softly, alive and aware, responding to them like a single being. Daniel's hands rested on the control interface, his fingers moving along sequences that no Valerie engineer had understood. Siraxa, clad in the restored suit, stepped forward, energy humming around her, the silver plating glowing faintly. The two of them were linked now. The armor had imprinted on both of them, recognizing human creativity and Valerie's strength as a single bond. No one had ever operated a warsuit in this way before. Military officers rushed in, demanding that the armor be taken for study. They feared it might malfunction again or attract the enemy. Siraxa shook her head. "He fixed it," she said firmly. "He stays with it. And together, we will protect this world." Daniel felt the energy from the armor coursing through him. It was stronger than he expected, yet it felt natural. Every thought, every calculation, flowed in sync with the suit and with Siraxa. The ancient ships in orbit fired warning beams, energy streams that could tear through metal like paper. The first beam struck the city's shields, causing them to flicker. The Valerie defenses struggled to respond. Daniel and Siraxa knew they had to act immediately. They entered the command interface fully, allowing the armor to channel their combined strength. As they activated the core, the armor reached out through the city's energy grids. It linked with every generator, every shield node, and amplified the signals in a pattern the architects had not anticipated. The alien ships had once been unstoppable, but they had forgotten that machines could also be influenced by thought, by emotion, by the connection between living beings and the technology they used. The armor pulsed in response to Daniel's calm focus and Syrax's command energy. A protective barrier formed around the planet, bright blue and solid, shimmering like glass but stronger than any material. The first attack came. The architect's main ship unleashed a beam wider than a city, its destructive energy crackling toward Valerie Prime. Daniel felt it in his chest as the barrier bent but held. He adjusted sequences, balancing energy output and emotional resonance while Syraxa stabilized the armor's core. They were no longer separate. Their minds and instincts flowed as one. The beam hit the barrier and splintered into harmless arcs of light that danced across the sky. The alien fleet faltered, stunned by the unexpected defense. Inside the command interface, the armor guided them further. Daniel realized the architect's ships relied on rigid code, pure logic. But humans and Valerie had something the machines could not predict: intuition, creativity, and understanding. He fed these into the armor, blending strategic patterns with improvisation. Each pulse of energy, each movement of the armor reflected their thinking. The architects fired again and again, but every attack was diverted, neutralized, or absorbed. The barrier was alive, responsive, and growing stronger with every strike. Syraxa glanced at Daniel, her eyes shining beneath the helmet. "Hold steady," she said. "We are doing what no army could do alone." He nodded. "It trusts us," he said. "It wants to protect life, not destroy." Together they began pushing further. The armor reached beyond the planetary shields, connecting with orbital defense arrays and ancient weapon nodes hidden for centuries. Every system responded to their touch, their thoughts, their intentions. The architects' ships began to hesitate, their movements jerky as if confused. One by one, smaller vessels broke formation and drifted helplessly in orbit. The main ship tried to compensate, but Daniel anticipated its adjustments, feeding counter-signals through the armor. The great weapon groaned, overloaded with calculations it could not complete. Sparks of energy flashed across its hull. It began to collapse inward, a massive sphere of energy imploding as the designers had never intended. Outside, the Valerie soldiers and civilians watched in awe as the sky lit with the battle unfolding above. The human and the commander in silver armor had done what no fleet, no army, no technology could. The city below was untouched, the atmosphere calm compared to the chaos above. The architect's fleet, defeated not by weapons but by ingenuity and connection, drifted lifelessly in orbit, a reminder of power tempered by understanding. Daniel felt exhaustion wash over him. The armor's energy had flowed through his body, powerful but demanding. Syraxa placed a hand on his shoulder. "Breathe," she said. "You are not alone." He took a deep breath, realizing for the first time that the human mind, combined with Valerie experience and empathy, had changed the outcome. No being, no machine could match the combination of intuition, emotion, and courage. The architect's ships had underestimated life itself. The human mind had shown the value of understanding, creativity, and determination. It was more powerful than any weapon. When the battle ended, the sky cleared. The red hue faded into shades of blue and gold. The air was calm, almost peaceful. The people of Valerie Prime emerged from their homes, staring at the armor standing in the center of the hangar, at the human and the commander who had saved them. Cheers erupted. But Syraxa and Daniel remained focused, understanding the quiet significance of what had just occurred. This was not only a victory of technology, but of spirit. Syraxa turned to Daniel, removing her helmet. Her face was serious, yet a small smile appeared. "You changed what we thought possible," she said softly. "We needed more than skill. We needed understanding, and you gave it to us." Daniel looked up at the stars, at the empty remains of the architect's fleet. "They forgot something simple," he said. "Machines can follow orders, but only living beings can teach them purpose." Syraxa nodded. "And together we reminded them." The armor pulsed once, softly, almost like a heartbeat. It had remembered, it had learned, and it had chosen its human engineer and Valerie commander as its guides. It was no longer simply a machine. It was a protector, alive in ways no one could fully describe. The energy inside it flowed calmly, steadily, as if agreeing with Daniel's words. He reached out, touching the armor, feeling a connection that surpassed technology or logic. It was respect, trust, and a quiet triumph. Valerie engineers and soldiers approached cautiously, awe in their expressions. They had never seen anything like this. The human had not only repaired the armor, but had awakened something deeper. Something that combined courage, intelligence, and care. Siraxa stood beside him, her armor's silver sheen reflecting the light of the now calm sky. She had faced death and despair before, but never like this. The human beside her had proven that even the smallest being could change the fate of the galaxy. Daniel smiled faintly. "We did it," he said. "But this is only the beginning." Siraxa placed a hand on the armor's control plate, resting it lightly. "Yes," she said. "And now everyone will know what humans are capable of. Not just with machines, but with heart, with courage, and with understanding." The people around them watched silently, realizing that history had changed. The human had proven that even a single person, with skill and determination, could alter the course of an empire, could protect millions, and could awaken power that no one else could. Together with Siraxa, he had not only restored a relic, he had reshaped destiny. And as the sun set over Valerie Prime, casting long shadows over the restored armor, Daniel understood that he was more than an engineer. He was a guardian, a teacher, a reminder that the universe had space for ingenuity, compassion, and bravery. The galaxy had seen the power of life working in harmony with technology, guided not by fear but by care. It was a lesson the architects had long forgotten, and now the human mind had reminded them. The armor pulsed one last time, softly, as if thanking him. Siraxa stepped forward, placing her hand on his shoulder. "The galaxy will remember this day," she said. "It will remember what humans can do." Daniel looked to the stars, calm now, yet aware of the challenges still ahead. "And maybe," he said, "it will remember that understanding is stronger than any weapon." The armor's lights dimmed, steady and even, no longer chaotic, but alive with purpose. It was not just a machine anymore. It was a symbol of what could happen when humans dared to think, to care, and to act. Together, human and Valerie would face whatever came next, and the galaxy would never underestimate life again.